Hey, what's up everyone? It's been about 4 years since I built the Aquaponics Pothos system, so I think it's time for an update. The biggest update is that I moved about 3 years ago and took the system with me. And I used that opportunity to make a couple changes to the design, so I'll take you through those and then at the end I'll show you what it looks like today. So you're watching me take the old build apart, which was actually pretty easy to do. Just a few screws and some plumbing to disconnect, and that was basically it. At this point, the plants are about a year old and they grew really quickly because of that grow light. So once I had the grow bed down, I had to fold the vines over to transport it. My mom making her second cameo in this series, helping me bring the trough down the steps. Because of the way everything was built into that wooden trough, the system is self-contained and actually really easy to move. The first little upgrade I made was protecting the inside of the wooden trough with a coat of latex paint. Even with the plastic lining, which you definitely should still use, I think this is just a good idea to preserve the wood. The second little upgrade I made was using rigid 3/4 inch PVC for the supply line instead of clear vinyl tubing. I mostly did this because the PVC just looks a lot cleaner, especially since the aquarium is further away to the grow bed on this build. But another reason why you might want to use PVC instead of clear vinyl tubing is because PVC doesn't let light penetrate through, so that dark environment inside the pipe is going to make it a lot more difficult for algae to grow and ultimately make your system easier to maintain. Lifting the grow bed into place, you might notice that I only used 2 brackets instead of 3. 3 was definitely overkill and 2 is just fine. I also whipped together these 2 wooden rails which sit just a few centimeters off of the wall and allow me to keep the vines more organized closer to the wall, almost like an upside down trellis. Now that I knew the system worked, a lot of these upgrades were just to make it look better, especially this little one, which actually went a really long way in cleaning up the appearance. That was super satisfying, but also goes to show that the silicone doesn't really stick to the PVC gutter very well. To solve that, I used regular PVC glue to chemically bind the end cap to the gutter. I also caulked it with some silicone just to be safe. So those are all of the changes I made when I moved it, and this is how it looks today. I also ended up not reinstalling that grow light since it's too much for the room and the Epipremnum aureum, which is pothos, just doesn't need it since the plant actually evolved to thrive in the shade of the jungle canopy. The plants do grow a lot slower than they would without the light, but honestly that's even more convenient since they're already as long as I want them at this point. Quickly backing up a few seconds, that red light you saw in the grow bed is actually a water sensor for the flood detection system I built when the grow bed flooded a little over a year ago. I used cheap eBay water sensors that seem to work just fine and easily integrate into my DIY aquarium controller to shut everything down and notify me in the event of a flood. Water has been trickling into that grow bed almost non-stop for thousands of days at this point, and with only one flood, I think that's a pretty good track record. Although, if you are going to build one of these, I would highly recommend that you prepare yourself for when that flood does happen. That one flood was worth it though, because I got away without doing any water changes in this aquarium for over a year, which was a really interesting experiment. The aquarium never crashed, although I did learn that without water changes, other chemicals and toxins that aren't, your ammonia, nitrites, and nitrates will build up over time and can't be exported by the plants. So you can't really get away with completely eliminating water changes just because you added a ton of plants to your system, or at least not for me. Anyways, that's kind of all I have to say about this update. a whopping 4 years later. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's watching those old videos, and an especially big thank you to everyone commenting on them and also urging me to make this update. Appreciate it. I also want to say that I'm making this video because I'm back, and I'm definitely planning on dropping more content here now that I'm not in school. So, looking forward to seeing you all around. Peace.